Hey, what's going on, wrestling fans? My name is Timothy J. Jones. Welcome to another edition of the TJAY Knows Wrestling Podcast, where we talk about some of the hottest topics in all of professional wrestling. On this edition, we're going to be talking about the Money in the Bank PLE that took place, the 2025 Money in the Bank ladder matches are in the books. We're going to be talking about each and every match. And we're also going to be talking about a shocking surprise during the main event, something that a lot of people probably did not expect. But if you love wrestling, if you love talking about wrestling, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I've been a wrestling fan my entire life, man, since I was a kid, and just wanted to get back to talking about something that I really, truly love and watch all the time. But let's go ahead and get into it. The 2025 Money in the Bank PLE. I think everybody was kind of excited. You know, if you watch that Worlds Collide pay-per-view, PLE as I like to call it now. I mean, there are no pay-per-views, but that was something that I thought was really exciting. I took a look at it, and I was honestly shocked. At the beginning, the first match during World Collide, I was like, I don't know if I can get down with this, man. All this, nobody tagging in, tagging out, all this stuff. But it was really exciting. I liked the Vikingo match as well against Chad Gable for the AAA Mega Championship. I thought that this was Gable, one of Gable's best matches. I mean, it really just shows you how talented he is, man. And, when you think about Vikingo, he's a guy that is balls to the wall when it comes to his matches. It's good to see that he can actually have a slow, methodical type match. And, I think it kind of helps him as well because he is known, I'm talking Vikingo, having those type of matches that just high intensity, fast pace all the time. So it's good to see that he can actually wrestle that type of match. I think he kind of helped himself in regards to probably maybe being on WWE television over the next couple of months. I mean, working with Chad Gable. But I thought that was a good match. But I think it set everything up for the Money in the Bank ladder match. As a matter of fact, one of the matches was actually set up due to the Worlds Collide PLE that involved Octagon Jr. and Dominic Mysterio, which we'll get into in just a minute. But the match that kicked off the night was the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And I thought that was the right way to kick it off, giving people a match that they were looking forward to. You had some really good, talented women in this match, man. You had some women that a lot of wrestling fans were looking forward to seeing. They wanted to see Stephanie Vaquer. They wanted to see Julia. They wanted to see Rhea Ripley. They wanted to see Naomi. They wanted to see Roxanne Perez. And I thought that this was a really good match. You had a bunch of young up-and-comers, well, at least when it comes to WWE, talent like Julia, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer. Like, these are the type of, superstars that have been really good on NXT. But a lot of WWE fans don't watch NXT. Like, they don't know what these women are capable of. This is probably, and maybe over the last few weeks, been their first time taking a look at Julia, taking a look at Stephanie Vaquer, taking a look at Roxanne Perez. So this was a good, there was a good idea by WWE upper management, putting them out there. And also Alexa Bliss. I don't want to, just completely look past her. Alexa Bliss has been a well-respected WWE superstar for a long time. Having her in a match, I think that this is something that some people wanted. They were asking where was Alexa Bliss. So to put her in a high-profile match was great. I thought that they did some really good things. If you look at the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, I was kind of glad that, it was two different type of matches. I'm always concerned when I look at these Money in the Bank ladder matches, how are they going to differentiate between them, right? How are you going to differentiate between the two matches? If you've seen one person going through a ladder, you're going to see another person going through the ladder. And then all of a sudden it doesn't really look as exciting. But I think that they had a really good, solid match. The women's athleticism was put on full display. We seen the devil's kiss on the ladder. from Stephanie Vakir to Rhea Ripley, which I'm looking forward to that match in the future, man. Watching those two main event, some card, probably Evolution 2 that's coming up in the next couple of months, but that they had some exciting spots in the match. I think that every woman had their moment, but the biggest moment went to Naomi. Naomi wins the women's Money in the Bank, and I feel like that was well deserved. Naomi has been in WWE. She was there for over a decade. She left. She went to TNA, kind of found herself, became that seasoned veteran. I feel like, she learned how to, work a match a little bit better when she went to TNA. And then she came back, and it was kind of like the same old song and dance, man. Wanted people to feel a glow and dance and all that. And that's cool. But I think that some of her best work had to be, now that she is a heel, she looks different. She acts different. Some of the promos that her and Bianca Belair have done, I mean, to me, have been some of the best work WWE has done in a while when it comes to promos. And now all of that comes full circle. Her winning the Miss Money in the Bank contract, she deserves it, man. She deserves it. Like, if you look at all of these women, you can talk about Stephanie Vakir. She's talented. Don't get me wrong, a great talent, but a lot of people don't really understand her or know how talented she is. She has to basically kind of work herself up to that point. I think it was a good idea for her to be on display at Worlds Collide, combined with the PLE with Money in the Bank. It just basically showed people her versatility. But all in all, you want to have someone like Naomi that's been established, that people have seen the storyline. And honestly, she needed this based on how that storyline was all put together. I mean, for months, nobody knew what happened to Jade. And then finally we found out it was Naomi that attacked Jade. And I mean, so you want to, if you're going to put that much effort into a storyline, you at least want a character to have a payoff. And I just feel like the Money in the Bank contract was indeed a payoff for Naomi. So that match was about, if I'm not mistaken, that match was maybe about 25 minutes and 15 seconds, according to, this wrestling website here. 25 minutes and 15 seconds was the match. So Naomi, she wins the Miss Money in the Bank. I thought that was the right move when it came to who was to win. I mean, other women you could have chose, but I think Naomi was the best choice. And then you had a preliminary match, which honestly was a little bit of a shocker to me. I thought that this was going to be a small card, but I mean, based on this match, it still was a small card. You had Dominic Mysterio versus Octagon Jr. Now, this match started, the build-up to this match started when Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan were in the crowd for a six-man tag match that featured Octagon Jr., Mr. Iguana, and and so many other luchadors in that match. But it was Dominic Mysterio after the match was over, when Octagon Jr. got the pin on Dorado. He stood up and basically just talked about how he's the best at luchador and all that kind of stuff there. And him and Octagon kind of got into it. Dominic jumps the rails, attacks Octagon Jr., basically says, "I'll see you at Money in the Bank, and I'll put the Intercontinental Championship on the line," which is, to me, I have to say, I mean, I understand why they did what they did. They wanted to put Octagon Jr., in front of everybody. I think they feel like maybe he has something to offer. So putting him in this spot would be big, going up against Dominic Mysterio. But what didn't make any sense whatsoever was, why would Dominic Mysterio, a heel, all right, even though people are cheering for him right now, why would Dominic Mysterio, a heel, challenge Octagon Jr., a babyface, to a match and put his title on the line? You would think that it would have been the other way around, but I don't know the strength of Octagon Jr.'s English. I mean, honestly, I ain't never heard him speak, so I don't know if he can speak English or not. Maybe that's the reason why Dominic Mysterio dominated the promo. I have absolutely no freaking idea, but it just didn't make sense from a storyline standpoint. But I digress. Moving on, the match was solid. I mean, it was an opportunity for everybody to see Octagon Jr., what he has to show, and it also just helped Dominic Mysterio. I think that this was one of Dominic's best matches. I mean, I think that Dominic has slowly become very, very polished in the ring. Every single match, he gets better. This match, it just seemed like it was clean. The spots were clean. The 619 from Dominic was clean. The frog splash. I mean, everything about Dominic right now is I mean, A1. I mean, I like Dominic Mysterio a lot. I still feel like, man, he's a gem away from being a world champion. I mean, the tattoos are helping him. The mustache and the mullet is helping him a little bit, making him, look like the bad guy, making him feel like a wrestler. But I still feel like, man, you got to get into that gym, man. You got to bulk up a little bit. I'm not saying that he got to be out here looking like Brock Lesnar, but for people like, honestly, to really, truly buy into that fully, I just think that, he got to put on a little bit of muscle. But he's doing some of his best character work. He is one of the best young up-and-coming superstars in WWE. And I just think that, being in that gym is going to differentiate from him being that world champion that people can believe and just being a guy that's a solid worker over the next couple of years. But that match went 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Dominic Mysterio retains his Intercontinental Championship. And then from a wrestling standpoint, this match was, in my opinion, the best match of the night. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, the pride of Dublin between the two women. I mean, I know that, backstage, I know that this meant a lot to both women. You can tell that Becky is looking at Lyra as a project, trying to elevate her. And this is exactly what Lyra Valkyria needed. Lyra Valkyria has all the tools to be one of the top women in WWE over the next couple of years. I mean, she's technically sound, that ability in the ring. She's solid. I mean, she's one of the best young workers WWE has. The problem was I couldn't relate to her. I didn't know how to feel about it. I know she won the inaugural Intercontinental Championship tournament for, the Women's Intercontinental Championship, but I just felt like it was a disconnect between her and the fans. And when Becky Lynch came along and basically attacked her, that's when everybody started to see that Lyra can turn it up a little bit. As a matter of fact, I think that she has a nice, solid heel run in her future, man, because the way that she was going at Becky, I mean, the way that she was firing up on Becky, like, it just makes me feel like, man, she can be a heel when, in the future. But I also think that it helped her tremendously because it gave her something that she can actually chase, man. Just having solid matches, that's great. People are like buy into what you're actually doing in the ring. But if people don't have an emotional investment in you, you're not going to draw any money. Like, people aren't going to like just be willing and waiting to see you. And it would be unfortunate for someone like Lyra Valkyria with the talent that she has for, her to just get swept under the rug. You don't want that, right? So I think that this was a really good dance partner for her with Becky Lynch. I think that this was, a match made in heaven. I've seen so many Becky Lynch matches, but I can honestly say this is probably her best dance partner. John Cena has had so many different rivals over the years, but his number one rival to me was Edge. It was just something about it. I mean, some people might say Randy Orton, but Edge was the guy because people were still like kind of lukewarm about John Cena during that time. And Edge, coming off a very controversial storyline involving Matt Hardy, I think they needed one another. But right now, you have a woman in Becky Lynch who has done it all. And when you've done it all and people have seen you around so many times, it's kind of hard for people to kind of like buy or invest into what you're actually doing. So I just think that this is a really good match made in heaven for both women at this point. But I mean, it was a back and forth match. It was solid. It was stiff at times. Once again, Lyra Valkyria wasn't really working like your stereotypical baby face. I mean, she went outside the ring, that guillotine leg drop that she dropped on Becky. when Becky was hanging over the barricade. That was smooth. I mean, it came down to Becky holding on to the tights, getting the 3, and becoming the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. And of course, we know that, with the promo, Becky said if she beats Lara had to raise her hand. Lara ended up like raising her hand. That wasn't good enough for Becky. Becky wanted her to raise it all for her size. She did that. And then all of a sudden, Becky wanted her to put the Intercontinental Championship belt on her. Lara does that, but hits her with a German suplex and leaves. I thought that was a good move right there because, the last memory that fans have is Lara German suplex and Becky, even though Becky wins the match. So in the end, both women, in my opinion, won the night. I don't feel like there was a loser in that match. Becky, won the match by pulling the tights, and that is, a way for Lara to kind of get out of that, saying that, only way Becky can beat her is she cheats. So I think that was the best match of the night. It went 15 minutes and 20 seconds. Good storytelling there, and the winner was Becky Lynch. Let's go ahead and move on to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. This one was extremely exciting. A lot of high spots in this match. You had LA Knight, you had Solo Sikoa, you had Penta, you had Seth freaking Rollins, you had you had Chad Gable, Grande Americano. Oh man, and man, this was a really good, solid match, man. This was a good match. I think that all the participants in this match did really well. Also, we have to mention Andrade. I forgot about Andrade as well, which I don't know what Andrade was on, man. Andrade has been kind of late on some of these spots, man, over the last couple of days. He was late on a curb stomp, on with Seth Rollins on Friday, and then in this match, man, he was just kind of all over the place. So that's I mean, I don't know, but the match itself, it basically told a really good story. All the participants, Americano, Gable. I mean, this guy, I gotta say this, Americano, him being in the match that he was in with Vikino, and then wrestling again in a Money in the Bank ladder match, you got to keep in mind this man hit a moonsault on Vikino at Worlds Collide, and I mean he was banged up, man. You could tell like he was really banged up in that match, and he didn't take it easy. And then you have to go into another match at Money in the Bank and try to push yourself again. So credit to Chad Gable, man, putting on a wrestling display and going out there giving it his all and not phoning it in any match. But it basically started where all the participants basically jumped on Seth Rollins. It stemmed from Friday when Seth Rollins comes over to SmackDown with Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, tries to soften up the field of the Money in the Bank match, attacks Penta, attacks Andrade, attacks everybody that's pretty much in the match for the exception of Solo Sikoa, tagged LA Knight. So everybody jumped on Seth Rollins at the beginning of the match. Solo, who is becoming like one of the funniest wrestlers in the world right now. Like while they beating up on Seth Rollins, he over there laughing. Everybody just kind of looks at him. He's like, okay, I got you. I'm gonna help you. And he throws Seth Rollins out of the ring. And that's when the match starts to kick off a little bit. We had some really good spots in there. You had the Mexican Destroyer on a ladder. Penta does the Mexican Destroyer on Andrade. You have Chad Gable, Americano getting a fireball ladder, the real tall ladder. There was a moment where a lot of people thought that he might end up winning the match. That would have been the shocker of the night. He ends up taking a backdrop from LA Knight, and it was just a lot of, it was a car crash for a good little minute in the match. And then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins, who tried several times to try to reach the briefcase, unsuccessful. Guys are like just attacking him, like making it seem like everybody has a chance except for you. But he ends up going to the outside, he tells Heyman, he starts calling for Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker to come on out to help and interfere. So out comes the big men. You got Bron Breakker, who just basically makes a beeline to the ring and just spears the hell out of a Grande Americano. It was unbelievable, man. Like, just watching him just run down the aisle and just completely destroy Americano, like right in the middle of the crowd. I mean, the way that Americano sold, just made it look even more devastating. But I don't know what's up with the cameraman. I don't know. Like, you only seen half of the spear. I'm just hoping that somebody actually has the full footage of Bron Breakker running down there full speed and spearing Americano, because the camera work on this was garbage. I gotta say that, straight hot garbage. All right, I don't understand it. You would think that you have seen Bron Breakker like run full speed and hit somebody with a spear. You would think that the camera would be ready, because that it's going to be exciting. But anyway, he spears Americano. He goes there, man, and you basically they take out all the guys in the ring for the most part. Hit the tsunami. Bronson Reed hits the tsunami. Everybody's beat down, and then all of a sudden they focus on Solo Sikoa, and then out comes JC Mateo and the Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu. They come. They took their time now. They took their time. If you in the grand scheme of things, if somebody's walking that slow and somebody has a friend of yours, you would think that you'll use a little bit more energy to get into the ring, maybe run a little bit faster, hustle down there. But I guess it was just for I guess like to set the scene, so to speak. There we go. To set the scene, just like I just did right there. Let me turn that off. All right. Anyway, so they walking down there slow. They walking slow, man. And all of a sudden, like, they get in the ring, and everybody's just on pins and needles, because everybody want to see what would happen if Jacob Fatu and Bron Breakker get their hands on one another. Everybody knows that that's a WrestleMania main event waiting to happen, or a SummerSlam main event waiting to happen, or a Survivor Series match waiting to happen. It's just inevitable that match ends up happening, but it doesn't. You had JC Mateo ends up fighting Bron Breakker outside the ring. Bron Breakker spears JC Mateo through the barricade. To me, that spot is not as impressive, because how many times have we seen somebody get speared through the barricade? Can we find a different way of showing some devastation without somebody being speared through a barricade? So maybe when it actually happens, people are like, wow. But everybody knew he was going through the barricade. But the most impressive thing that I think I've ever seen, not just in the match, but what I have ever seen, was the pop-up Samoan drop. Jacob Fatu picks up, man, Bronson Reed got to be about 350, 360. He lifts Bronson Reed up at like he just a pillow, and just Samoan drops him. And it's unbelievable, man. So he rolls out of the ring. I'm talking Bronson Reed. Then you got a tope suicida here, out of the ring by Jacob Fatu. Everybody, is just so impressed and shocked at the feet, the athletic feet, the act, the strength that he showed. Unfreaking believable that he would do that. But anyway, now it's the moment of truth. So he ends up like getting the ladder. Solo gets into the ring. He's, Solo, tells him, no, I don't want that ladder. Give me a bigger ladder. He gets a smaller ladder at first. He moves the small ladder, get a bigger ladder. So he started climbing. And Jacob is making it seem like anybody that comes into the ring going to have to answer to him. And Solo starts to go up the ladder, with so much confidence. And then all of a sudden, Jacob Fatu pulls him by his calf. And this is why I say that Solo Sikoa is slowly becoming one of the funniest wrestlers in wrestling right now. So he grabs about a calf. Jacob Fatu grabs Solo, and he just started lunging like his leg, like, oh, wait a minute here, what are you doing? Like, so Jacob Fatu looks him in the eye, says, I hate you, Solo. And he ends up pulling him down off the ladder, hitting him with the super kick. Then he hits him with the moonsault and leaves him laying, man, which I think a lot of people kind of saw that coming. It was, to me, it was a throwback to when Triple H and Ric Flair was talking in the locker room about Batista, and they wanted Batista to go to SmackDown and take on JBL at WrestleMania 21. It was kind of a throwback to that, where you had Solo, Bad Mountain, Jacob to JC Mateo, and then Jacob heard it just like Batista heard Triple H and Ric Flair. So some old school storytelling right there, coming full circle. But anyway, Jacob Fatu leaves the ring, walks, leaves him laying, and that's when everybody just starts to get back into the ring. Seth freaking Rollins, he starts to climb the ladder, and all of a sudden everybody just starts to beat him up again. I think that they were trying to prepare everybody for what was about to happen. Nobody wanted to see Seth Rollins win this match. I just think that it was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Everybody just kind of seen it based on what the story has entailed. I think that people were just kind of maybe hoping that maybe CM Punk could come out. Maybe we'll see Roman Reigns. But anyway, he fights a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, LA Knight, he gets to rally towards the end, but to no avail. And Seth Rollins retrieves the briefcase, and he is now a two-time Mr. Money in the Bank winner. And I don't have a problem with this, man, because Seth Rollins is a freaking star. And you have to think about the faction that he is trying to build. I expect for Seth Rollins to be world heavyweight champion. And I'll get into that after I mention this last match. And also the Money in the Bank ladder match went 33 minutes and 35 seconds for those that may want to know. The main event, it was a tag team match. It was the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, making his return, his first match since WrestleMania, losing the WWE Championship. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion Jey Uso, they're taking on the social media megastar Logan Paul and the never seen 17 gracing us with his presence one last time, John Cena. So this was a really solid tag team match. I think that this was a really good match, to make sure that, number one, both of your respected champions stay champion without having to defend a championship, having them beat somebody that they don't necessarily have to beat. I thought that this was a good move to preserve John Cena. John Cena, has not been the John Cena of old. I mean, he even has conceded to that notion himself. But it was a good way to protect all of your superstars, protect your champions. And it started off as a pretty solid match. Jey Uso mostly got majority of the beat down. Jey Uso, took most of the punishment early in the match. I guess they were trying to set up a hot tag. Everybody was anticipating the return of Cody Rhodes. All of a sudden, John Cena, Logan Paul, they were working well together during the match. But then all of a sudden, there's a rift there, right? John Cena, Logan Paul, the only thing they really have going for them really is John Cena is looking at Logan Paul as a guy who would be the destruction of wrestling, would be part of his plan to help ruin wrestling. Having somebody that is a part-timer, just like he is, will take another belt home. That means we want to see the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship. But they both have huge egos, right? So it's only a matter of time before those egos start to clash. I mean, they started to work together at first. Miscommunication. We know that Logan Paul mistakenly hits John Cena with the frog splash. It was just, it just started to not work out. And then all of a sudden, you got mayhem all around the ring. You got John Cena clearing off the table. He's trying to put Cody Rhodes through the tables. But And, out of nowhere comes Jey Uso, which he ends up spearing John Cena on the table. I think that more than likely John Cena was supposed to go through the table. I think that moonsault by Logan Paul was maybe a little bit impromptu. I really do. I don't think that was supposed to happen. But credit to him, man. That is not easy to do. Like, you can talk about Logan Paul all you want to, but the fact is the man moonsault from the middle rope and just basically leaped and flew to the table and just basically flattened Jey Uso, which when you look at it, man, like, look, you don't know how a guy's going to come in, right? And especially like when you're taking that table spot, but he ends up like getting it clean and just basically putting Jey Uso through the table. And then all of a sudden, meanwhile, in the ring, you got Cody Rhodes and John Cena. John Cena ends up hitting Cody Rhodes with the title. We thinking, okay, man, it's the same old song and dance again. WrestleMania all over again. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in comes someone with a shiesty on in a hoodie and just spears John Cena and just start punching him. And then he removes the shiesty, removes the hoodie, and is none other than R-Truth. R-Truth, who everybody has been talking about for the last couple of weeks since he has made the announcement that he was released by WWE. He's in the ring. He hits John Cena with the title, throws the title out of the ring, jumps over the barricade, leaves. Everybody just losing their freaking mind. Cody Rhodes hits the crossroad on John Cena. 1, 2, 3. The winners of the match, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso at 23 minutes and 45 seconds. Everybody is in shock to see R-Truth, which, I got to say, I really honestly did not believe that we would see R-Truth back this quickly. I don't think that this was a part of the storyline. They can try to pretend and act like it was. It was not. They released R-Truth and they listened to the fans. And this is a credit to today's WWE, because as soon as they heard the outcries, they brought R-Truth back in. They brought him back in and they made him a part of the storyline. Now, at the presser, at the end of the Money in the Bank press conference, the question was asked, was this a part of the storyline? And Triple H kind of, smiled a little bit as if, he knew that it wasn't, it was a part of the storyline. It was not a part of the storyline. I don't think they thought that fans would react the way that they did to R-Truth being released, because, I think that they probably knew that R-Truth was going to be released. They probably gave him Saturday Night Main Event with John Cena to have a really big payday on his way out. They didn't probably expect for R-Truth to get the response, to get people all up in arms, I should say, about him being released. But credit to them for circling back, making the right decisions, and bringing back R-Truth, because the fans wanted to see that. Now everybody's interested to see what R-Truth is going to do with John Cena. How is this going to affect the storyline with Cody Rhodes, and how John Cena going to retaliate? Is John Cena going to go into a feud with R-Truth? Like, who knows? But all in all, it's good to see R-Truth back. I think R-Truth was doing some of his best work. I think that promo he did on SmackDown when he was being interviewed by Wade Barrett, I think it just showed people that, he's more than just a comic relief type wrestler. He has a lot to offer, man. I know a lot of people look at R-Truth as just being comic relief. He is funny. He is entertaining, but he can also, man, talk on a mic, and he can also, he's a solid worker in the ring. So all in all, I thought that this was a good match. R-Truth coming back really made everybody excited about the match. But you also have to look at Jey Uso. Jey Uso was basically selling, his ribs. He was beat down the majority of the match. I think all of that was basically for storyline purposes, so he can look weak and soft for Gunther. I think that this is what is going to happen. I think that Jey Uso is going to beat Gunther, and Gunther is really going to mess him up pretty bad. He's going to, have him, beat up even more than what he was at Money in the Bank. And Seth Rollins is going to come out, cash in that Money in the Bank, and he's going to end up becoming world heavyweight champion on Monday night. That's the way that I see it happening. I mean, you can just look at I would be shocked if it doesn't happen like that. And the only reason why I would say that it wouldn't happen like that, if Seth Rollins is trying to cash in his Money in the Bank contract, and then all of a sudden out comes the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, to basically just spoil his plans of becoming world heavyweight champion. That's what I see. Or it's the fact that they will allow Seth Rollins to beat Jey Uso at Money in the Bank, and you have Roman Reigns take on Seth Rollins for the world heavyweight championship at SummerSlam. Have something like that going. But, you don't want Jey Uso and, Roman Reigns to have to face each other for the world heavyweight championship. So, and we know that Roman is on Raw now, and he has been since Raw has come to Netflix. So I think that you're probably going to see Seth Rollins end up cashing in Money in the Bank after Jey Uso goes through a very grueling match with Gunther, really showing that warrior spirit, basically getting out, barely getting out. And Seth Rollins is going to be there to pick the bones, hit him with the stomp, get the 3 count, and become world heavyweight champion. That is what I honestly believe is going to happen on Monday. I think that, it's a good thing because, it's going to push the storyline between Roman and Seth. It gives them something to actually work for. Also, you know that you have SummerSlam, and you know that Roman Reigns is going to come back. He always works the marquee PLEs, the Survivor Series, the Royal Rumbles, the Mania. So I expect for the Tribal Chief to make his way back to WWE and maybe take on Seth Rollins. But all in all, I think that the Money in the Bank pay-per-view was pretty solid. I think that, it was a good, solid show. It wasn't anything that we're going to be talking about for the next 5 to 10 years. I really feel like Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch, they had the best match of the night. Money in the Bank ladder matches, to me, they're just nothing but spot matches. It's basically, what's going to happen the last 5 minutes of the match. So I don't really judge those matches. It's kind of hard to judge a match like that when a lot of stuff is going on and most of the guys are just laying out, laying on outside until it's time for their spot to come through. So I thought it was a solid show. I thought it was an entertaining show. I thought that for storyline purposes, I think that the right superstars won. I know that some people wanted to see LA Knight win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but look, man, I just gotta ask some of these wrestling fans, like, when are you gonna be satisfied? First, it was like everybody's so upset about R-Truth, and R-Truth need to come back. Then, WWE listens to you, bring him back. Now all of a sudden, like, we just mad about LA Knight. Like, I like LA Knight just as much as the next man, but LA Knight, he don't deserve, at this point, he doesn't deserve the Money in the Bank briefcase over a guy like Seth Rollins. This is for storyline purposes. There are times where, the Money in the Bank contract would be a good spot to try to elevate guys. But this is a really good spot for the Money in the Bank contract to elevate his storyline. I mean, it happens that way. If it was like one of those matches where you didn't have such a big time storyline where you had think about this. Think about the momentum of Seth Rollins' faction. I mean, it only has been in fruition for about a month. So they're still trying to establish themselves. They don't even have a name. Like, we don't even know what to call them. They just coming out there together. We don't even know what to call this thing. Like, we just started to see the beatdowns. We just started to see them kind of, impose their will. So having Seth Rollins win this, it makes sense because it's making Seth Rollins look strong as well as his stablemates look strong. So no disrespect to LA Knight, but I mean, when in the grand scheme of things, if let's just say if Seth Rollins was just kind of being Seth Rollins and being upset about whatever, then I can understand, like, okay, if LA Knight can kind of sneak in through there. But why would, like, the only way that it would actually work and LA Knight will win if you think about it, if Roman Reigns would have showed up at Money in the Bank. That's the only way. Like, if WWE said, okay, Roman, we want you to show up at Money in the Bank and ruin Seth Rollins' chances at becoming Mr. Money in the Bank, then that would make sense. But when you think about it, okay, Seth Rollins, stablemates come out there, leave everybody laying. Solo have issues with Jacob Fatu. That makes sense for him to ruin his chance of becoming Mr. Money in the Bank, right? I mean, everybody basically was laying due to Seth Rollins' compadres. So it only just makes sense that they, show their power. They show that, okay, these guys are so powerful, virtually unstoppable. And Seth Rollins ends up winning a briefcase. If none of that stuff was going on, then I can understand a whole LA Knight situation. I can understand that, but I don't see it, man. Like, LA Knight really doesn't have any momentum right now. Like, and honestly, I would rather see somebody like Solo or somebody else, like, other than him, who would actually benefit from that. Like, LA Knight wouldn't benefit from that at all. Like, LA Knight is still going to be cheered. LA Knight is still going to go out there. Like, as long as you keep some level of momentum, having winning matches, he's still going to, be that guy. And he's still going to be there probably, later on, where he can maybe challenge for another championship somewhere. Maybe, you could switch shows or something like that, and maybe he can go for the Intercontinental Championship. But right now, I don't think that was the right move anyway. But let me go ahead and read some of these comments here. Says TJ, New Orleans deserved better for WrestleMania 42 next year. Yeah, I mean, look, it was a very disappointing thing when WWE reneged on having WrestleMania in New Orleans. But look, this isn't the old WWE owned by Vince McMahon. Like, this is TKO. This is a company that doesn't live by the stereotypical WWE rules, right? I mean, they are about the money. Las Vegas generated a lot of money for them last year, and I'm pretty sure Las Vegas wrote a nice little check for them in order for them to come back there once again. So I think that is messed up, of course, but that's business sometimes. Sometimes business is not fair, and it wasn't fair. But at the end of the day, WWE made a lot of money, I'm pretty sure, by them agreeing to go to Las Vegas again. And I'm pretty sure they have to pay New Orleans a nice little bit of money too for going back on that deal. But all in all, man, I hope that you enjoyed the Money in the Bank review. I hope that you enjoyed Money in the Bank. And what are your thoughts on the Money in the Bank ladder matches? Do you think that the right superstars won? What do you think about the other matches? What do you think about main event Jey Uso taking on Gunther on Monday Night Raw for the World Heavyweight Championship? How would that match fare out? I think that Jey Uso is going to win and Seth Rollins is going to cash in. That's the way that I look at it happening. But I would love to hear from you. Hope that you hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for checking out the TJAY Knows Wrestling Podcast. I really do appreciate it. Check out previous episodes and also check out episodes in the future. We'll be doing a Monday Night Raw review after Monday Night Raw. So make sure that you check that out here on the TJAY Knows Wrestling Podcast channel. Till next time.